Welcome to Blunder, the most accurately named fictional kingdom since someone decided to call a giant ship unsinkable. It's dark, it's damp, it's surrounded by a cursed mist that can straight up infect you, and the local economy basically runs on superstition and bad decisions. The only thing keeping everyone from total magical chaos are the Providence cards, rare, enchanted little tarot knockoffs created by the mysterious Shepherd King. Each card grants powers, but naturally they come with strings attached, and by strings, I mean life-threatening, possibly soul-stealing curses. Enter Elspeth Spindle, your average young woman who just so happens to have a literal nightmare living in her head. No, not insomnia, not student loans, an actual entity called the Nightmare. He speaks in rhymes, because why wouldn't your mental parasite be a slam poet, and occasionally lends her magic for a price? They have a sort of awkward roommate situation going on. She gets to live, he gets free rent in her skull. One day, Elspeth tries to mind her own business in the creepy forest, which is basically a bad life choice factory, and ends up rescuing two men from the royal guard. Turns out they're not bandits, they're worse. Nobility? One of them is Prince Raven Yu, who's basically the kingdom's most wanted man in the broody but hot category. He's on a desperate mission to gather the full deck of Providence cards to break the mist curse before it swallows the whole kingdom. Elspeth gets dragged into this because, 1, she touched the wrong people, and 2, she happens to have powers that might be useful. Raven is all like, "Join me on this dangerous quest, peasant girl," and Elspeth is like, "Fine, but don't make eye contact." Meanwhile, the nightmare in her head is muttering creepy rhymes about destiny, murder, and how much fun it is to watch her life fall apart. The whole collect the magical cards quest is basically like Pokemon, but every time you catch one, there's a 50-50 chance it'll kill you or give you a migraine that lasts forever. And the clock is ticking. The solstice is coming, the king's men are on their tail, and the mist is getting hungrier by the day. And so begins Elspeth's reluctant, sarcastic march toward doom, armed with nothing but a brooding prince, a cursed deck of magical playing cards, and a poetry-loving demon squatting in her brain. What could possibly go wrong? So, Elspeth is now officially part of Prince Raven's merry little band of card hunters, which is really just a handful of people with trauma, trust issues, and questionable decision-making skills. Their grand quest? Gather all 78 Providence cards before the king catches them and, executes everyone for treason. Easy. Along the way, Raven and Elspeth develop that classic, "I hate you, I tolerate you, I guess I'll die for you" vibe. You know the one. At first, they argue like two people forced to share a single phone charger. But give it a few late-night conversations, some near-death experiences, and a dash of mutual brooding, and suddenly you're in the slow-burn romance lane. Well, slow burn by fantasy standards. By normal people standards, they're moving at just got married in Vegas speed. Meanwhile, the nightmare is still in Elspeth's head, tossing out cryptic warnings like a shady fortune cookie and accidentally taking over her body whenever things get too dicey. Elspeth pretends she's in control, but the truth is she's about as in charge as a tourist trying to steer a cruise ship with a broomstick. They travel through misty forests, crumbling castles, and villages where people look at you like you're already dead. They acquire more Providence cards, which, shockingly, never come from a pleasant, "here you go" situation. No, it's always survive the trap, outwit the cursed guardian, hope you don't sprout extra limbs. And every new card makes the mist react like it's just had an energy drink and a bad idea. Of course, the Royal Guard is constantly on their heels, led by people who apparently went to the Stormtroopers' School of Aim because our heroes keep surviving. Still, the tension builds. The mist's influence is creeping closer. Elspeth is relying more and more on the nightmare, which, newsflash, is exactly what a sentient evil entity wants. Raven, for all his brooding charm, is hiding his own cursed secret, because apparently everyone in this kingdom got the one free life-ruining backstory coupon. The team bonds over the shared knowledge that they're all doomed, but at least they'll look fabulous in the history books. By the midpoint, they have a few more cards, a few more scars, and way too many romantic glances for a crew allegedly focused on saving the world. And yet, somehow, the most dangerous thing on this journey isn't the mist. It's the fact that Elspeth's worst enemy might be living rent-free in her own head. By now, Elspeth and the Card Collectors Club have fully embraced their role as the kingdom's most stylish fugitives. They've got a growing stash of Providence cards, an ever-tightening deadline, and more trust issues than a reality TV reunion episode. The mist is getting bolder, slinking into places it shouldn't, like that one neighbor who just happens to pass by every time you're taking the trash out. People are disappearing, animals are acting weird, and the whole kingdom has that something's about to explode energy. Perfect time for Raven to be even broodier than usual. Elspeth's relationship with the nightmare is, evolving. And By evolving, I mean he's showing up in her head more often, speaking in riddles and making it increasingly clear that his definition of help probably ends with her soul in his pocket. She's still telling herself she's in control, which is adorable. In the same way it's adorable when a toddler tries to help drive a car. The crew's hunts for more cards are getting riskier. We're talking ancient ruins, creepy catacombs, and cursed forests where every tree looks like it's judging you. The stakes keep rising, and so do the coincidentally romantic moments between Elspeth and Raven, because apparently there's no better time to catch feelings than when you're one cursed artifact away from a slow, horrible death. Of course, politics starts creeping in too. The king's paranoia is spiking, the court is buzzing with rumors, and certain allies might not be as loyal as they claim. There are whispers about betrayals, secret deals, and plot twist possibility that some of the people they've trusted all along have been working for the wrong side. The tension is now high enough to cut with a spoon. Elspeth is balancing her growing attraction to Raven, the terrifying pull of the nightmare's power, and the awareness that every single Providence card they grab makes something, maybe the mist, maybe the king, maybe the nightmares, just a little stronger. By the time we near the final stretch, the group is battered, desperate, and teetering on the edge of both triumph and total catastrophe. The next step will either get them exactly what they need, or blow the entire plan to pieces. Everything's coming to a head now, which is really just fantasy speak for someone's about to make a terrible decision that changes everything. Elspeth and the team have almost enough Providence cards to actually attempt the mist-breaking ritual. Almost, which means they're one dangerous errand away from either becoming heroes or a cautionary tale parents use to keep their kids from sneaking out at night. The king's men are everywhere, the mist is practically breathing down their necks, and the nightmare is more talkative than ever. And not in a fun, let's share a pint way, more in a, let me whisper about your doom while you try to sleep way. He's clearly got plans of his own, and spoiler alert, they do not involve Elspeth living a long, happy, nightmare-free life. Tensions between the crew hit boiling point. Secrets spill, trust snaps. That one ally you thought had your back? Yeah, turns out they're working for the other side. Because what's a fantasy plot without a little stabbed in the back by a friend drama? Still, the group pushes on, because apparently once you're neck deep in magical doom, you may as well keep walking. The final card is within reach, but getting it means breaking into one of the most heavily guarded places in the kingdom. It's a heist, a suicide mission, and a bad date all rolled into one. Elspeth leans on the nightmare for just one more boost of power, telling herself it's the last time, which, if you've ever read a single book in your life, you know is basically a legally binding invitation for disaster. The more she uses him, the more it feels like her mind is not entirely hers anymore. And then it happens. The final confrontation. Steel clashes, magic burns, and loyalties shatter. They manage to get the last card barely. But in the chaos, something goes horribly, epically wrong. When the dust settles, Elspeth is left staring at the wreckage, holding all the cards they fought for, while realizing she might have just handed the kingdom's future and her own free will over to the very monster living inside her head. The mist is still out there. The nightmare is grinning in her mind, and Raven is looking at her like he's not sure if he's about to kiss her or kill her. Fade to black, roll credits, enjoy, screaming at the book. So, what have we learned from One Dark Window? Well, friends, after surviving 400 plus pages of mist, magic, and mental squatting by a rhyming demon, here's the wisdom we can take away. 1. If a creepy voice in your head starts speaking in poetry, don't ignore it, but also, maybe do ignore it. Actually, you're doomed either way, so enjoy the rhymes while they last. 2. Forbidden magical objects? Always chase them. The more cursed, the better. Bonus points if every acquisition comes with permanent trauma and suspicious glowing veins. 3. Broody princes are dangerous. They will drag you into their family drama, involve you in treason, and possibly make you fall in love right before the world ends. 10 out of 10 would recommend if you enjoy chaos with cheekbones. 4. Mist is never just mist. In fantasy, mist is code for sentient murder weather. If you can't see through it, it's probably trying to eat you. 5. Your allies will betray you? Not might, will, at least once, sometimes twice if they're ambitious. 6. Deadlines make people stupid, especially magical ones. The solstice is coming is just fantasy talk for time to make increasingly reckless life choices. 7. When a supernatural being says, "Trust me," run, unless you're the main character, in which case you'll totally ignore that advice, make a deal, and regret it within 48 hours. 8. Collecting magical cards is basically Pokemon, except instead of cute creatures, you get curses, possession, and an early grave. 9. If you think you're in control, you're not, especially if the thing you're controlling can live inside your brain rent-free. 10th. Cliffhangers are cruel, but effective. You'll close the book, scream into the void, and immediately order the sequel, because Rachel Gillig clearly feeds on reader suffering. So yeah, One Dark Window teaches us that survival in a cursed kingdom requires bravery, sarcasm, and a disturbing tolerance for morally questionable roommates, whether they're princes, traitors, or nightmares with a poetry hobby. Now go forth and read the sequel, because trust me, this mist isn't clearing anytime soon. So in short, One Dark Window is a masterclass in how to survive cursed mist, dangerous princes, and having a slam poet demon living in your brain. Which is to say, you probably won't survive it all, but hey, you'll look dramatic doing it. Morale of the story? Trust no one. Collect all the cursed cards, and if a voice in your head starts rhyming, you're already screwed. If you enjoyed me roasting this book into oblivion, do the 3 sacred things. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell so you don't miss the next sarcastic breakdown. And if you don't, well, the mist might just pay you a little visit.